Welcome back, history enthusiasts. Today, we journey to the brutal, unforgiving medieval battlefields. For centuries, the heavily armored knight ruled the European plains. They were invincible steel forces of the feudal age, gleaming in plate armor and riding massive warhorses. These fierce noblemen shattered any infantry that stood in their path. But their romantic era of chivalry was brutally vanquished by a starving peasant army from the Swiss mountains. Armed with wooden pikes and absolute ruthless discipline, these mercenaries became the most dreadful instruments of doom. Let us rewind to the golden age of nobility. Kings and lords dominated society from towering stone castles. The battlefield was an exclusive playground for the aristocracy, a place to win glory, honor, and lands. To become a knight required years of grueling martial training, beginning in early childhood as a humble noble page. Their equipment was astonishingly expensive. A full suit of tempered steel plate armor cost as much as a village. Beneath the steel, they wore padded jackets and chainmail, making them practically invulnerable to peasant weapons. Riding atop specially bred warhorses called destriers, a charging knight carried the momentum of a modern freight train. When hundreds of armored cavalry charged in unison, the very earth trembled beneath their thunderous iron hooves. Historical records state that enemy foot soldiers often fled in absolute terror before the knights even reached them. Medieval warfare followed the unwritten code of chivalry. Knights preferred capturing nobles to demand heavy ransoms. Battles between aristocrats were sometimes less about tragic ruin and more about a high-stakes financial game. However, far to the south, surrounded by the unforgiving Alps, a different warrior culture was quietly evolving. The Swiss Confederacy was an alliance of poor mountain cantons filled with hardened farmers, herders, and woodcutters. They possessed no vast wealth, no aristocratic titles, and no means at all to maintain expensive, heavy cavalry. In a harsh environment, these mountaineers learned that survival depended on absolute community unity. Faced with the constant threat of invasion from powerful empires, the Swiss had to develop a radical new strategy. They realized that individual bravery was useless against a charging armored knight with a heavy lance. Their brilliant solution was shockingly simple, yet effective. They returned to the ancient Macedonian phalanx. The Swiss adopted the pike, an incredibly long wooden spear with a vicious steel point, extending 18 feet. A single peasant holding a pike is defenseless, but 1,000 peasants, shoulder to shoulder, creates a fortress. They formed massive, tightly packed rectangular blocks called the Gewalthofen, an impenetrable forest of spikes. Imagine facing a literal wall of sharp steel points. Would you have the courage to charge your horse into certain death? To make this formation work, the Swiss instilled a level of unwavering discipline unseen in the medieval world. Every man had to move in perfect, synchronized harmony to the thundering beat of the marching military drums. If one man stepped out of line, the whole formation would collapse, leaving them vulnerable to a sudden cavalry flank. Thus, cowardice was punished with immediate death. Fleeing the battlefield was the unforgivable sin against their homeland. The inevitable collision between these two different worlds erupted on the blood-soaked fields of Central Europe. European commanders, blinded by aristocratic arrogance, underestimated these unarmored mountain peasants. At legendary battles like Morgarten and Laupen, the knights confidently ordered massive frontal cavalry charges. Ancient historical records state the wealthy lords expected the terrified peasants to break ranks and run for their lives. But as the roaring wave of armored horses crashed against the Swiss lines, the peasants did not flinch, panic, or surrender. The front ranks planted the heavy butts of their long pikes into the mud, creating an unbreakable wooden wall. The sheer kinetic energy of the heavy cavalry charge was absorbed and repelled by thousands of wooden shafts. Massive, barded warhorses, weighing over 1,000 pounds, were struck down, screaming in agony from their momentum. The aristocratic knights, violently thrown from their mounts, suddenly found themselves trapped in the suffocating mud. Their heavy plate armor, designed to make them invincible on horseback, now became a deadly steel prison on the ground. Meanwhile, the Swiss Pike Square never stopped moving. They marched forward with terrifying mechanical precision, grinding on. The second and third ranks continuously thrust their pikes forward, creating an inescapable storm of cold steel. As the initial charge shattered into absolute chaos, the Swiss unleashed their secondary, horrifying weapon. Stepping out from between the long pikes came the fierce halberdiers, wielding heavy axe-like blades mounted on sturdy wooden poles. The Swiss halberd was an incredibly brutal instrument, specifically designed to counter thick plate armor. Its heavy axe blade could easily cleave through a knight's steel helmet, delivering a massive, devastating, crushing blow. The sharp spike at the very top was perfectly angled to violently thrust through the unarmored gaps in visors. And the vicious hook on the back was expertly used to snag the armor, dragging the proud nobleman down to the dirt. In one-on-one combat, a fully armored knight would easily vanquish an unarmored Swiss peasant without breaking a sweat. But the battlefield is never a fair duel. The Swiss fought as a single monstrous entity, offering no openings. The European armies were utterly shocked. Their invincible traditions were unraveling before their eyes. They tried firing primitive cannons and early matchlock firearms, but the rapid Swiss advance gave them no time to reload. They attempted flanking maneuvers, but the brilliant Swiss square could instantly face all directions with a solid wall of spikes. Defeating this dreadful formation required a highly coordinated approach, something commanders could not execute. The psychological terror inflicted by the marching Swiss was amplified by the deafening roar of giant alpine horns. These massive, deep-sounding instruments echoed across the valleys, signaling the relentless approach of absolute doom. The Swiss soldiers marched in eerie, terrifying silence until they clashed, conserving their breath for the brutal battle ahead. Italian Machiavelli noted the Swiss walked to battle with the grim resolve of men going to work. They possessed a fanatical loyalty to their cantons, viewing fellow soldiers not just as comrades, but as blood brothers. This profound brotherhood meant they would never abandon a fallen friend, nor forgive any foe who dared to shed Swiss blood. The concept of chivalry, with polite surrenders and honorable captures, meant nothing to these hardened mountain men. To the Swiss, a captured knight was not a walking bag of gold coins. He was a dangerous, unpredictable threat to eliminate. Pausing to take prisoners would disrupt their perfectly aligned pike formation, risking the entire mercenary company. Therefore, they established a chilling, uncompromising rule of engagement that terrified every European monarch. They declared they would give no quarter, and expected no quarter in return. Every fallen enemy was silenced forever. The aftermath of a Swiss victory was a horrifying spectacle of ruin, resembling a wasteland more than a battlefield. Wounded, helpless knights, trapped underneath their heavy, suffocating metal shells, desperately begged for mercy and offered ransoms. But the cold, expressionless mercenaries ignored their desperate pleas, systematically moving through the mud to end them. With ruthless efficiency, they used daggers, called misericordes, to pierce the knights' vulnerable eye slits. The once proud, glittering banners were violently trampled into the mud, symbolizing the death of the romantic feudal age. At the legendary Battle of Sempach, heroic Duke Leopold III was brutally struck down in the chaotic dirt. The loss of so many high-ranking nobles in a single afternoon completely devastated the region's stability. It was a brutal awakening for the European elite. Wealth and noble blood could no longer guarantee survival in war. The Swiss democratized death. A peasant's cheap wooden polearm was now just as lethal as a mastercrafted noble sword. News of their terrifying brutality spread like wildfire across the realm, making them the most feared soldiers in the world. If you were a medieval king facing these unstoppable forces, would you fight them? Or bankrupt your kingdom to hire them? European monarchs quickly realized that the only way to survive a Swiss attack was to hire their own Swiss companies. This realization sparked a massive, highly lucrative bidding war among empires for their exclusive, brutal services. The poor mountain cantons transformed into a wealthy military enterprise, exporting ruthless warriors across the realm. They became the indispensable weapon of mass destruction in the Renaissance era, changing European political power. The glorious age of the heavily armored knight was truly over, replaced by a new era of professional warfare. European lords were now forced to completely adapt their military strategies to counter these fearsome men. The terrifying reputation of the unstoppable Swiss infantry became an extremely precious commodity. Desperate French kings and Italian dukes practically emptied their royal treasuries to hire these brutal units. To maintain their absolute premium status, the cantons strictly controlled the massive export of fearless soldiers abroad. Their business model was simple: absolute loyalty to the highest bidder, as long as the gold kept flowing. "No money, no Swiss" became a famous, cynical proverb among commanders who relied heavily on their force. However, their massive success inspired fierce, bloody competition from a variety of rival nations. German mercenaries, widely known as the fearsome Landsknechts, adopted the Pike Square and became their hated rivals. When these two incredibly massive pike formations violently clashed, the resulting carnage was horrific. These brutal encounters, known as Bad War, were incredibly devastating, as neither side offered quarter. Ultimately, the dominance of the unstoppable Pike Square slowly faded with the adoption of gunpowder. Heavy cannons and the usage of massed musketry could violently tear massive holes through the disciplined infantry. Despite this shift, the incredible, durable legacy of the fearless Swiss remains etched into history. They completely transformed how wars were fought, proving that organized commoners could destroy elite armored nobles. Their terrifying reputation for unwavering loyalty earned them the most prestigious guarding position. In the year 1506, Pope Julius II established the Pontifical Swiss Guard at the Vatican. This famous elite unit demonstrated their absolute dedication during the horrific sack of Rome. While the ancient city burned, 147 Swiss guards bravely fought to the bitter end to save the Pope. They held off a massive army of mutinous imperial troops, sacrificing their lives for the Holy Pope. That truly legendary display of bravery cemented their esteemed role as the Pope's personal protectors. Today, when you visit the majestic Vatican, you can still observe these guards standing watch in their colorful uniforms. Despite their bright ceremonial attire, do not let their decorative appearance deceive you at all. Every modern guard is a highly trained Swiss military veteran, capable of using modern weapons. They still carry the traditional halberd, the exact same weapon used to violently smash knightly armor. This transformation from ruthless mercenaries to devoted, holy protectors is unique in world history. It serves as a fascinating reminder of how strict military discipline can evolve across the centuries. The bloody mud of the battlefields has washed away, leaving behind only the echoes of their brutal legacy. We can no longer hear the terrifying thumping of their drums, or the agonizing final screams of fallen nobles. But the lessons they taught the aristocratic world about unity and practicality resonate today. They shattered the romantic illusion of chivalrous warfare, exposing the raw, ugly truth of brutal devastation. For those arrogant knights who fell beneath their dark advance, the Swiss must have seemed like unstoppable demons from hell. To their wealthy employers, they were an expensive yet absolutely necessary insurance against rival kingdoms. And to their own people, they were brave providers, risking everything to ensure survival of their alpine home. The story of the Swiss mercenaries is a perfect example of how hardship breeds unparalleled innovation. It proves that a highly organized group of individuals can overcome incredible odds in technology. Their pikes may be securely locked away in quiet museums, but their fearsome spirit will never be forgotten. These fearless pikemen proved that strict discipline will always crush individual heroism on the battlefield. Were these ruthless tactics justified, or were they simply cold-blooded executioners? Tell us your thoughts below. If you truly loved this epic historical journey, please like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more.